Welcome to Once Upon a Real Life with Belle, and this is a podcast about real life, just as it is. Each episode is an honest conversation about the moments that challenge us and sometimes surprise us. No filters, no pretending. Quick thanks to the show sponsor, ActiveFlex. If you're looking for pain-relieving gel with long-lasting relief for painful muscles and joints, you can use my discount code BELLE10 for 10% off. Just visit alphasport.com.au. Let's begin today's episode. Today's guest is Jennifer Becksvoort from Michigan in the United States. As a young girl, Jennifer and her two siblings were removed from their parents and placed into foster care, before later being adopted. Her story offers a deeply personal look into the US child safety system, a system that in many ways operates very differently to what we have here in Australia. I'm really grateful that Jennifer has chosen to share her lived experience with us today. As we talk, we'll explore not only her journey, but also the contrast between our two countries' child protection systems and what those differences can mean for the children growing up in them. Thank you for being here and holding space for stories like Jennifer's. Let's begin. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Jennifer was just saying in Michigan, there's a snowstorm today with 100-car pileup on icy roads.
Yes, it's very dangerous here right now. We're all staying in our homes.
Yeah, so literally she's a homebody today.
Yes, yeah.
Stay safe. So we'll start a little bit about you, Jennifer. Firstly, I found you on Facebook. I saw a story, a video that you put out, and then I was locked in. Jennifer was talking openly about her time in care, her relationship with her adoptive parents and her siblings. She's told me just now that this is new. Her speaking out online is new. So firstly, thank you. And secondly, tell me a little bit about yourself, Jennifer. Who were you growing up? Where were you born?
Well, I was actually born in the United States in Virginia, and then my parents are from West Michigan area, and they ended up moving to North Carolina for a job, and that's where we were once my parents could no longer take care of us. So it was wonderful that my parents are from a whole nother state and they just happened to be right where we needed them to be when we came into care.
So when you say your parents, you're talking about your foster care parents and then adoptive parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So your biological mum and dad, how old were you and your siblings at the time that you came to the attention of the Department of Child Safety?
I was 3 and my younger brother was 18 months and my older brother was 5.
Do you have
So
memories of the time living with mum and dad?
I do and I don't. I have experiences that my body remembers, but my brain does not. For instance, I have always been scared of indoor fires my whole life, and I never knew why. And then 4 years ago, I met my birth parents, and my birth dad leaned over and said, "Did you know that you're the kid that started the house on fire when you were 3 years old?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, your mom was supposed to feed you and didn't. And so you put a pot on the stove and you put oil in it, and there was a curtain by that pot, and everything started on fire." And so that is why I am scared of fires, indoor fires now. And I had no idea. I have no memory of that situation happening, but my body feels unsafe when there's fires in a building.
So this is psychological. This is
Yeah.
at the age between, I guess, birth and probably 7 years is what I understand, is
Uh-huh.
when a child becomes who they are and every lived experience becomes
Yeah.
part of them. So even
Yes.
though you don't remember it, like you
Right.
say, your body does, your subconscious does, and it's buried in there somewhere. Wow. And your brother, your 5-year-old brother at the time, didn't remember the fire?
He didn't know. So we don't really talk anymore. I have not had a chance to talk to him about it, but he's never been afraid of fires like I have.
No,
He will
no.
say other things. He will say, like one day the sun was shining into our house really, really bright. And when he first came into care, he just looked at the sun and he said, "Where we come from, it's dark, dark, dark." and he would talk about being put into a closet, um, so that we maybe wouldn't run outside. I have no idea why we were put into a closet, but he has a very different memory than I do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. My brothers and I are
Mhm.
very, very similar. I had a house fire when I was 4 years old, maybe 5 years
Oh,
old. And I recall it very
uh-huh.
differently to my brother, who is
Oh,
15 months older, and very differently to my older brother, that's another
uh-huh.
15 months on top of that. So we have different memories. I,
Sure.
I remember it very vividly. And I've always been, like yourself, afraid of not fire so much, but my husband used to be frustrated when we were first together that I would have what he would call a fan ban. I wouldn't let fans be on overnight because I was so
Uh-huh.
fearful that they would set an electrical fire.
Oh, is
So
that what
through the
happened?
summer, I don't know. We never
Oh,
really got a straight story from my
okay.
father as to how the fire started. I recall being in my bed asleep
Uh-huh.
and waking up to noise. My brothers
Oh,
were in a bed asleep as well in a
uh,
different room. And I woke up to see through my bedroom door into the lounge room, and the whole lounge room was aflame.
oh,
It felt in my memory like he jumped through flames
uh-huh.
to collect me out of my bed
Oh,
and take me outside.
uh-huh.
So whether those flames were at my door or beyond the door in the lounge room, I don't know. But in my
Uh-huh.
mind, he was my hero because I saw it.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Yeah. So he passed away
mhm.
when I was 7. He lost his life to a heart attack, and so I never got to discuss with him. And because my mum was nursing and she was on an overnight shift, she said he was kind of cagey about how it happened.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so whether he fell asleep with a cigarette
Yeah.
or because we were on a property that was run by a generator, we didn't have powered electricity, so
Oh,
perhaps the generator
yeah.
or perhaps a fan.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
Anything. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it happened
So
so fast. Yeah.
so fast,
So
so
fast.
fast. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
remember my father put us in the ute and we
Uh-huh.
drove down the driveway and he stopped the car and we turned around and sat and watched our home burst in flames like a birthday cake, like just
Oh.
like a birthday
Oh,
cake.
wow.
Yeah, with
Oh,
50
I can't
candles.
imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah. So
devastating.
you've blocked your memory. I've got that memory, but it's
Mhm.
again different to the siblings.
Mhm.
So, all right. So, when you were removed, you don't have a memory of this?
No.
No.
Nope. But I have done some EMDR therapy. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Yes.
okay,
Could
I
you please tell the listeners? Tell me about the EMDR.
sure. So EMDR, it's eye movement desensitization relocation, I believe, something like that. So when you do that and you don't have a memory, you create a scene. And then, so I created a scene. I was called Jenny back then. And so I said to my therapist that I was Jenny in blue shorts with a red shirt in front of a green stove, feeling hungry and sad that my mom wasn't feeding myself and my brothers. And so I put a pot on the stove and I put oil in it. And so while I was processing that whole situation, the therapist was going back and forth like this with his hands, and my eyes were following his hands. And so what happens is when you are processing and your eyes or a part of your body is going back and forth, it moves the memory that you've built in your head to a part of your brain that can better process the information, and it kind of takes the panic away, if you will, or it helps me process what happened in a healthier way. So what's wonderful about this is now when I see my gas stove, the flames, I don't panic like I used to. Or if I walk into somebody's house and they have a fire going on in their fireplace, I don't feel like I need to leave the house. Like I'm aware of it, I don't like it, but I'm more rational when it comes to seeing fires inside of a house than I ever used to be.
How good is therapy?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, that was life-changing. We did a few
Yes.
different scenes, and some of them were harder than others. This one was very hard, and it took a long time, probably a month and a half of counseling and that one scene to do all of the hard work, but it was worth it.
I had a guest on this podcast, and his name is Phil Golding,
Uh-huh.
and he is a transpersonal psychotherapist,
Oh.
and he specializes in past life regression or this life regression. And after the episode, I went and saw him.
Uh-huh.
And I booked a session.
Oh,
So I mentioned before that my father passed away when I was
yes.
7.
Yes.
And he passed away in front of my brothers and I. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So right
I'm
in front
so
of us. So
sorry.
those memories are really traumatic. And
Yes.
he took me back through this life
Uh-huh.
to those moments in time that were difficult for me. So he said, pick a time that was the worst between this age and this age. And that was my
Uh-huh.
father's death. And then he said, pick a time that was the most difficult between this age and this age. And I went back there. And then another time in an older age that was difficult. And
Mhm.
each time he took me back, I had my eyes closed and he would ask me questions and I can answer him or not. But at the time, my whole body, I could hardly breathe. I could hardly speak. The tears were just coming and coming because I was there again. He took me
Yeah.
there again.
Yes.
And then he took me back again, but
Um,
alongside my 47-year-old self. So now I went back there, but beside me was
uh-huh.
me.
Uh, as a little girl.
No, as an
Oh,
adult.
adult. Okay.
Beside that little girl, that's me.
Beside that. Okay.
And so then we were to communicate
Uh-huh.
at those points in time
Uh-huh.
separately.
Uh,
And I was to tell her that I will always be with you. Like I could cry now. I am
oh.
with you. I've been with you. I was there then. I'm here now.
Uh-huh. Oh.
And it was
Oh.
just so emotional and so beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And then I guess at the end of it, the whole point is to see those traumatic points in your life with less hurt because
Yeah.
I was there.
You were there. Yes.
It was
Oh,
beautiful.
that is beautiful.
If you listen to his episode, it's called Near Death, New Life.
Okay.
The whole point of it is he explains that you are the only one that's with you your whole life. You could have
Yeah.
a mum and a dad, you could have your foster parents, you could have your siblings, you could have your best friend, but it's you
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
with you when you were born, who walks your entire life and
Mm-hmm.
then is with you when you pass. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it was just such a meaningful experience. So therapy, I just think, is incredible. Anyone who's got trauma or anyone who's got, built up emotions that they can't deal with, seek some help because there are people out there who are like magicians.
Yeah, literally, literally.
Mm.
And EMDR brought me to that place. Just like I'll never forget it. We also EMDR'd the scene where so we were taken away in the middle of the night by a caseworker and police officers. So our birth father was in jail. Our birth mother left us with a babysitter, and she just never came back. And so that babysitter tucked us into bed, and then she went home and called the police and said, "There's three little kids home alone. Please come get them. I can't watch them anymore." And so they came, they picked us up. And back then, I don't think they had the support like they do today in place, and so we ended up going to the social worker's house for the night, and we slept there, and then the next morning, my mom who fostered us got a phone call and said, "We have 3 children, which 2 do you want?" Because they were only licensed for 2 children, and so she said the younger two, and so that was myself and my little brother. So we EMDR'd that moment when my older brother was removed and sent to another foster home, and I'll never forget that moment because I have no memory of it, but it brought me to that moment, and I literally my body moved to my left, and I acted like I was gonna hug my little brother, like, "Oh my goodness, last night You took us from our family. Now this morning you're taking my older brother. Nobody is taking my last little brother. Nobody's taking him. And I would say to this day, we have kind of a codependent relationship, and I think that that is when it started. We are very close with each other, and I just can't imagine
You
losing him.
protected him. You
Oh
protected
yeah.
him.
Oh
I see
yeah.
it all the time when we have foster children. I've only had two sibling sets,
Okay.
and the older one takes care
Yes.
of the younger one.
Yes. In fact, I was very angry when my foster mom would not let me parent him.
It's for your own good because you need to take care of Jenny. But in your body, you just want to take care of this little person that you
Yes.
probably did care for in your past home.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. In fact, I remember well trying to tie my brother's shoes. And my mom got down to my level and she said, Jenny, I am his mom. Let me tie his shoes. And I often wonder if she would have said, Jenny, can we do it together? Can I help you? Is it okay? How about you do one shoe and I'll do another? But
shared.
she had no education back
No.
then in the 80s. There was no trauma informed education whatsoever. So my parents did an amazing job. I will always and forever say that. They did this all on their own without a lot of support from the professional world. So,
Sadly, that's still the
yeah.
case.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can see child safety talk the talk that the child will get this therapy, the
Mhm.
carers will get this training, but
Uh-huh.
it feels like talk. So I
Right.
think sadly times have probably not changed much.
Sure. That's so sad.
You know, I've given sex education. I have given trauma therapy. I have given daily therapy that I am not educated to do,
Sure.
but this is the role of a foster carer,
Yes.
whether you know it or not. But if you look at the role of a foster carer on paper, legislated, those things are not even listed. So
Yeah.
it's you know,
Oh, it's a lot.
it's a lot.
It's a
It's a
lot.
lot. It's a
Yeah.
big job. It's a
Yes.
big job. It's a difficult job, and there
Uh-huh.
are moments that it is. Why did we do this? But
Right.
then those are minuscule compared to the moments where we're like, I am so happy
Yeah.
that we did this scary
Yeah.
thing and signed up
Right.
to be a foster carer because,
Right.
you know, and I've said this before, I don't want to live in a world where these children don't exist. You know,
Uh-huh.
a lot of people, when they hear a story of a parent, a biological mum and dad, and
Uh-huh.
their awful situation, their sad situation, they'll say those people should have their tubes tied. They shouldn't be allowed to have children. And then
Right.
I think, well, then these beautiful kids don't exist. So you're
Right.
not thinking
Right.
that through. That sentence is not, it's not full.
It's not. It's not. I'm so glad I'm alive, even though the beginning of my life was really sad and hard. And it has affected me my whole life. I have a really hard time being around other foster children who have experienced more trauma because I find that I trauma bond and I'm pretty empathic. And so I just feel their pain and I just become a blubbery mess when I hear stories that are more traumatizing than mine. There are so many sad stories.
You are definitely an empath. I think that
Mhm.
with my childhood trauma, I think I learned to wear a mask.
Uh-huh.
So I for sure wear a mask.
Mhm.
And so
Uh-huh.
when I do the interviews on this podcast that are really dark and they're
Uh-huh.
really scary, um, I feel like I don't take it on. Maybe that's also because every story is the same. It's different,
Sure.
but it's the
About the same.
same.
Mhm. Sure.
So maybe I'm just a little bit immune to it.
Sure. Sure.
Doesn't stop me advocating like you wouldn't believe for the kids that we
Thank
have in our
you.
home at the time.
Thank you. Thank you. I advocate for children all the time, but my passion is moms, foster moms and adoptive moms, because so often you guys receive you are the like the punching bag for all of the emotions from the children. And I'm laughing, but it's not funny. Like, you guys bear all of the pain from these kids, and so I'm an advocate for really healthy, strong marriages and husbands to support their wives, and for marriages for moms and dads to be like one unit in front of the kids always. My parents did such a good job of that, and we would not break them. We could not break them. I would often ask my mom a question and she would say, I have to ask your dad. And then I'd ask my dad a question. I'd have to ask your mom. And it got to the point where I thought, can these people ever make a decision on their own? And so, but now as a
Speaking of
parent,
codependency.
yeah, right. That's funny. Now as a parent, I realize that that was the most valuable thing my parents ever did for us and for their marriage. I'm really thankful that my parents showed us that they were kind of one person because we were not easy to raise. And my older brother made things very challenging for my parents. And I think the more challenging he got, the closer my parents got. And they were just united. Yeah, they were an amazing force. We could not break them.
I love that. I,
Yeah.
I, with my husband, I can take a lot and I
Uh-huh.
bear a lot.
Uh-huh.
And then I say to him, I need to tap out. I
Yes.
need to tap out.
Yes.
You're up. I'm out.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes it's over something trivial, but it's the accumulation
Yes.
of, and again, I'm wearing a mask, so
Right.
I am keeping it together for the children that are in my home.
Sure.
I'm not being a false, perfect person, but
Uh-huh.
I'm certainly creating a safe, loving environment.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's difficult with my biological children because
Mhm.
I have three,
Okay.
and sometimes they disagree with the grace I give the foster child
Sure. Sure. Sure.
because they wouldn't be allowed to get away with what that child has said or done or the behaviors. But
Uh-huh.
what they don't understand is behavior change comes over time.
Right.
It
Right.
needs to be trust that's built.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I am huge on giving grace. I won't
Sure.
let them hurt somebody,
Sure.
right? I
Sure.
would absolutely put the foot down. But if it's
Uh-huh.
simple swear words or
Uh,
um, meltdowns,
uh-huh.
or challenging behaviors, I can
Uh-huh.
remain calm. And they say, why do you let them do that? Why did you let them speak to you that way? And I said,
Uh-huh.
if you
Uh-huh.
could see the difference I see from that child in the first week to that child 6 weeks later, the behavior
Mhm.
differences are, you can't even put it into words. And over
Right.
time, it gets better and better
Uh-huh.
and better. So the
Uh-huh.
children can't see that. They just see
They
that
can't see
moment
the
in
big
time.
picture. Right.
No, they don't see
Right.
that mum didn't come down on her for doing the finger and saying something
Mhm.
sweary. I
Mhm.
can't do that.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh.
so were you aware that these were your foster parents, or did you block out your biological parents?
I don't have a lot of memory of that time, and so I think I blocked out my biological parents. Um, when I think about that time, the only thing I can remember is the love and the comfort. That's all I remember because we lived in a country town in North Carolina and we went to a country church and everybody there was just amazing and wonderful and loving. And then I remember the day I received my first gift, and it was a little baby doll with a blue blanket. I remember the carpet. I just remember feeling joy and really wonderful things. But it's confusing because I also remember feeling very angry when I couldn't parent my little brother. So I definitely have 2 different emotions. But I'm really thankful that I have the emotions of feeling love and comfort.
And
My m
safety.
and safety, right. My mom said that when we came tired, dirty, and hungry. So she, fed us, and then she, let us sleep, and then gave us a bath. and then fed us again and changed all of our bedding because it was really dirty from how dirty our bodies were. And then by the
Wow.
time all of that was done, my dad was a school teacher and he was home from school to find that he all of a sudden is a parent of 2 children. I can't imagine.
I do that to my
Yeah.
husband too. I'll say,
You do?
"Oh, a child this age will be here when you get home."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yeah.
And did you arrive with anything? Did you have bags or
We had
clothing
nothing.
or
No, we had
Mm,
nothing. In fact, my
yeah.
hair was really long and it was full of lice.
Yeah.
And my little brother, who was 18 months, he had a like a onesie sleeper on that was too small. So they cut the bottom of it so his feet kind of hung out of it. And then he had a blanket on as a diaper
Yeah.
when we came to them. So
You know,
yeah.
you probably put that on him.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. That's an
Or
interesting thought.
or the babysitter before she checked out.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
Uh
sad to think.
yeah, your brother might have cut the feet out even. Who
Oh,
knows?
right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. Children do arrive with nothing.
Nothing.
Or garbage bags, black garbage bags with
Yes.
a few items in them,
Yes.
not necessarily the items the children wanted. Uh,
Right.
and lice, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
hungry, absolutely. And the first thing that I will say to them, age appropriately, if they're babies,
Uh-huh.
obviously I'm just snuggling and loving. If
Yeah.
they're toddlers,
Yeah.
I'm just snuggling and loving. But if they've got comprehension, if they're of an age of comprehension, I will always just get down on their level and say, "You're safe with me. In this
Oh,
house, you are going to be safe. Nobody in
I
this
love
house is
that.
going to hurt you."
Uh-huh.
And then I take them straight to the kitchen and I
Uh-huh.
show them the food that they can access anytime.
Oh.
These are the foods you can have anytime,
Oh, that's beautiful.
right? So they don't
Yeah.
ever have to wonder,
Mhm.
can I go and get food? Am I
Yeah.
going to be fed today? So
Yes.
I'm a safe person.
Uh-huh.
You are safe in this home.
Uh-huh.
You will be fed. So they're,
Yes.
and you should see their bodies go,
Yeah. Oh,
because they're
that's
so
so
scared. They're so
yes.
scared. Who is this
Yes.
person? This
Right.
random house.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure we felt some of that. I don't have memory of that. But I'm thankful that we were brought to the house that we were at. And I will say the whole community, my mom called the church and the neighbors and they all came with all of our needs. Dresses and, all the clothes, all the toys, everything that we could have needed, which was such a gift to all of us. It's just amazing to me how people who don't even know us loved us immediately, and then sometimes I get really emotional when I think about that moment because it's so humbling to know that in 1 second they knew nothing about us, and in the next second they're giving us everything we could ever need, and we didn't I mean, it was
Yes.
just it's so humbling.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have the most beautiful community around. My husband and I have the most beautiful community around us
Oh,
also,
uh,
and our neighbors take our
uh-huh,
foster kids, as community.
sure,
All of my friends will buy gifts and
uh-huh,
hand me down toys, and
yeah, yeah.
one was an iPad for a little boy, and then one was a Nintendo Switch for a little girl.
Oh,
So
God.
many things that we have in our
Uh-huh,
community of things that are in drawers and they're
yeah,
not being used, and these
sure,
kids just love it, and
yes,
it makes them feel valued and
yes.
automatically part of a community because our friends and family are loving on them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it takes a village. And I always tell people like you don't have to be a foster parent, but we all have a way that we can
Yeah,
support our foster families and our foster children. So it's
absolutely.
just so beautiful how a community comes together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
now you're growing up in this beautiful home. In
Yeah.
America, is adoption still on the cards for foster families? Because I know that in Australia, that is not on the cards, particularly
Oh,
if the child has a cultural identity of being an Indigenous Australian. That's off the
okay.
table, full stop.
Oh,
If they were a not Indigenous Australian, uh, I think it's a grey area, but
okay.
predominantly all of the children I've ever had in my care, bar one with his sibling have been
Uh-huh.
Indigenous Australians.
Wow.
So
Wow.
my point is adoption is not on the cards.
Not on the card. So adoption, always their first goal is reunification
Yep,
with
same.
biological mom and
Mhm.
dad. And if that doesn't happen, then there's a real big change since I was a kid where now they have kinship care. And so they look for family members first of the children. And so if there's no family members, then foster parents are the next, best option for the kids to be adopted with. And so ours was pretty quick. Yeah.
Adoption is kind of organic, is it? If there's no identified kin, no safety with mum or dad,
Uh-huh.
biological mum or dad,
Uh-huh.
adoption is automatically on the cards? What
Yeah.
what happens in the case that mum cleans up or dad cleans up and the child is
Um,
now adopted?
there is some time. It's usually a year or two or longer for the parents to be able to clean up and do the things that they need to do in order to get their kids home. But for our family, it was only about a year. And my biological parents' rights were terminated. Um,
Terminated or signed over?
terminated. Mhm. Mhm. And she
Wow.
right about the time we were adopted, she gave birth to another child who was immediately taken from the hospital and placed into foster care, and then she had one more with my birth father, so there's 2 other full brothers who were adopted in North Carolina, and that's where they are.
Together?
Yes. Mhm.
Thank
Mhm.
the Lord above.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so here in Australia, adoption is, I would say, not a thing.
Okay.
It would
So
be
what
foster care.
happens?
So, for instance, the children that I have in my care, we are predominantly short term, emergency, or respite carers. We don't, as a family, we live very busy lives and we
Okay.
don't put in for full time children. Having said that,
Yeah.
one particular child we did, and
Okay.
it ended in the most heart wrenching, breaking trauma for both
Mm.
him and our entire family. We are not culturally appropriate.
Okay. Wow.
So in Australia, it is legislated that a non-Indigenous Australian can't remain a full-time foster carer of an Indigenous Australian. Just going back to the 90% of the children in care are
Sure.
Indigenous
Oh,
to
I
Australia. So
don't like that.
I know. So the problem is that particular child, which we did put in for full time and was so vocal he was that he loved living here. While
Mm.
he was in our care, he had wonderful connection with his mother, his father,
Uh-huh.
his auntie, his other auntie. We had him a full scholarship for primary and high school. Uh, he was in the academy soccer team. He was living his best life,
Yeah.
but he was removed to identified kin, which it's funny because I see both sides. I
Sure.
see that he should be living with his little brother, which he now is. I
Uh-huh.
see that he should be living with who his mother, his biological mother, wants him to live with. I do agree. It was just the way that it came about was traumatic for him. It broke his heart. It broke our
Sure.
hearts. And
Sure.
from then on, my husband and I became very aware of the department's motivations due to
Okay.
legislation.
Uh-huh.
So it feels like they're not living in a realistic world of case by case. It is a big
Uh-huh.
blanket that's
Uh-huh.
thrown over foster
Uh-huh.
children. So when you look at the Charter of Rights for Human Rights
Uh-huh.
in the world,
Uh-huh.
and then you look at the rights of a child in care, they have a voice, but it's never been my experience that the officers listen to the voice.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
heartbreaking
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah. Because they've got a job and their job is where these children are supposed to be culturally. This podcast is supported by our friends at ActiveFlex, the Australian pain relieving gel designed for long-lasting relief for painful muscles and joints. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. If your symptoms persist, please seek advice from a healthcare professional. You can shop online at alphasport.com.au and use my special code BEL10, BEL10. And that's just a little special code for you as a listener of the podcast, using the discount code at alphasport.com.au. The adoption thing with the American system, I think, is quite interesting. I
Yeah.
follow a lot of Facebook groups. I don't comment, but I read all of the posts because
Sure.
it really helps me to learn that other foster families are going through similar issues with biological children and foster children. And
Sure.
the department seems to be everybody's big issue. And it doesn't matter what country, that seems to be the big issue. But I'm grateful that you were adopted
Sure.
by your parents.
And fairly fast. Within a year. Yeah, it was, and then my parents moved us away from North Carolina and into Michigan, where my dad is from, which was good because my biological mom was threatening to pick up my older brother from the school playground because she wanted us back. And so my parents just wanted to get out of that area and remove ourselves from danger.
Was he living with a different foster carer, or was he living with you at this point?
So just before when termination happened, he could come with us. But the beautiful thing is when I say he was in another foster home, he was, but they were a field and a church away. So we went to the same church, we got to play together. And so I don't really feel like we were ever fully apart. I think he probably has a different perspective because he remembers the trauma of being taken away from our birth parents. And then he remembers being taken away from his first foster
Siblings.
parents,
Oh.
which were actually probably the best place for him to be because of his higher needs. And he would have been an only child in that house.
Do you know why
And
the placement broke down?
they wanted to keep the three of us together.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So they removed him from the good family and popped them
Yeah.
in with his siblings.
Yes, which I am an advocate for not always keeping siblings together. And I know that's very surprising for some, but when my older brother had so much trauma, and he brought that into our house, I think he would have been much better in a house where he was an only child, and the parents were able to focus on just him versus three kids. And he abused my brother and I and caused a tremendous amount of trauma for my parents. And so I often say that he would have been better staying with his first foster family for sure.
And I can understand that completely. We have
Yes.
experienced something similar where one of the
Okay.
children, although they loved their brother so much,
Uh-huh.
they loved being in a home that was about them, not sharing the love between him and his
Sure.
brother.
Yes. Okay.
But that was not listened to either.
Oh. I feel like kids need to have a say
Yeah.
more than they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's sad. It's sad.
And so you moved to Michigan. It's the three of you.
Yes. Yes.
You're all adopted now?
You were all adopted now, and I was able to start school when we moved to Michigan. And I remember all of that.
Did you tell your friends that these were your adoptive parents, or were you embarrassed by being an adopted child? Was there any issues for
No.
you about this?
I don't think that I really thought about it at that age. They were just my
Yeah.
parents. I don't really remember telling people that I was adopted until probably middle school
Yeah.
when I was trying to figure out who Jennifer was back
Yeah.
then, you know? And that's how I felt proud of myself. I was different, and I felt like that difference was cool, and I'd
And you
love
were
to talk about
chosen.
it.
You were
Yes,
chosen.
I was chosen.
Yes.
Absolutely. Mhm.
That's a
Yeah.
huge, huge one. And
Yeah.
that's a big issue for all of the kids here as well. They experience a lot of bullying and trauma in the
Mhm.
schoolyard from
Uh-huh.
children. That's their first go-to.
Oh,
Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you to live
right.
with them. Nobody loves you.
Right. That's I definitely dealt with those feelings as a teenager, and it's so hard as a teenager because you have your hormones along with all of the wonders of what happened and why I was abandoned. But my parents were really transparent with us in who our birth parents were. And they didn't paint the nicest picture. And so with that truth, I was really happy that I was adopted and taken away.
Are you comfortable with the painting of the not pretty picture?
Yes. Yes, 100%. And I think they were really age appropriate with us. And as we got older, they would tell us a little bit more. They didn't know a lot, but they knew enough.
Yeah. Because I
Mhm.
always take the angle of your beautiful mum or dad, and I try and show the children that I'm not judgmental on what they're going through.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and I do that for respect for the parents, and
Uh,
I want the children. Yeah, I don't know. I can't even finish that sentence, but that's the angle that I take.
okay.
Always take the, mum's going through a really tough time. If I
Mhm.
was her,
Mhm.
I would blah, 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 blah. But
Mhm.
in a positive way.
Okay. I don't my mom spoke truth beautifully to me in that she would say things like, the generations before them were not super healthy, and so how could they be? They didn't know how to raise you. They didn't know how to be a mom. She was young, she was a teenager, she drank a lot, and probably because of what her childhood was like. And so that's kind of the perspective I've always had.
Yeah, no, that's painting a positive picture.
Yes, yes,
That's not
yes,
painting a bad person. That's painting an experience and consequences of trauma and
yes,
the raising of
yes,
mum and dad.
right. They would also say, like my birth dad, on our paperwork, they don't use this wording today, but on our paperwork, they said he was mentally retarded and illiterate. And my birth mom abandoned us and was an alcoholic, and they were both into drugs and alcohol. And so we heard some of the stuff that was harder to hear, but my parents would often say it's probably because of where they came from. And
Perfect.
so that is why, like, my deep desire my whole life was to meet like an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent even of my biological parents so that I could get a perspective from a healthier person as to why my birth parents were the way they were.
An
And I was able to
understanding,
do that.
yes.
Yes.
Tell me
Yes.
about this. So tell me
Mhm.
about this. Did you have contact with your biological parents throughout your life at all,
No.
ever?
No. No, and I'm so glad for that. No.
And
No.
so when was your first contact and who with and how?
So my first contact, I looked really hard on social media. And so I found my biological aunt, Betty, and she lives in North Carolina. And we kind of just watched each other on Facebook for, I want to say, a year or a year and a half. And one day it was her birthday, and I was watching what everybody was saying to her about her for her birthday. And I thought, if 70 some people are saying she's the most wonderful lady, then I've got to meet her. And so I drove myself all the way to North Carolina by myself and met her, and it was an emotional, beautiful experience. And we've seen each other a few times.
Mum or dad's?
My biological dad's sister.
And was she
Mhm.
aware of you?
Yes. Yes, she was aware of all of us kids, but she was pretty young when we were removed, and she wasn't in a place where she could have taken us. So, and then that's okay. That's 100% okay. I'm just so thankful to have her in my life today.
And how was the reunion?
Really emotional. I was so nervous to see her, but she just welcomed me with her husband in open arms. I stayed the night at her house and they spoiled me rotten. And she got boxes of pictures, childhood pictures out and told me who all the aunts and uncles and like just about her whole entire life, which was my biological family. So it was really interesting and I got to learn a lot.
Was her
So,
upbringing the same as her brother, which is your biological father?
I would say it was the same, but she doesn't have the same struggles that he does. So, she's much healthier. And she, I would say, takes care of him and really loves her brother healthy. And so he kind of comes and goes. And so she will call him or he'll call her. And I think she's done a really good job at setting boundaries with him, but she is a really good sister to him. Hmm.
And then how long until you met him?
So I left her house that day or a few days later and went to him. He is completely illiterate and I had to get the address from my biological aunt to get to him. And she called him and said I would be coming. So I didn't communicate with him at all. And so I showed up and I picked him up and he took me to my biological mother's house right away. Yeah. It was a lot. It was a
Can
really
we
big
just set
day.
that scene? So you're
Sure.
driving, you pull up outside a home,
A house that he has really never owned a house. He just kind of lives from woman to woman his whole life. And so I picked him up from his girlfriend at the time, her
and when you
house.
saw each other, was there a connection? Was there awkward? Did you hug? Did he cry?
No, I don't think he's very emotional. He we did hug, and I don't know that he has the ability to bond or to feel an emotion like a father.
Did you feel angry? Did you feel sad? Did you cry?
No, but I didn't feel any of those feelings. In fact, immediately I felt protective over him.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
felt empathy. That's that empath you've got
Mhm.
in you.
Yeah.
And then so he, how do you do? How do you do, Jennifer?
Right. Right.
Been a while.
Right.
Been a
Right.
while. He pops in the car and he says, "We're going to go see your biological mum now."
We're gonna go see your biological mom now. And I said, okay, take me to her house. And so he doesn't really know street names or how to get there, but he knew where I had to turn left and where I had to turn right. And he took me to her house. She's living in a home and she is married. She had a child there. They each had about five more kids with other people.
On top of the
So,
five that I'm counting,
yes. Hmm.
each.
Yes.
So you
Hmm.
have 14 siblings.
About that, mhm. Yep, and there could be more, I have no idea. Yeah. Those are the ones I know about. Mhm,
Well, at that point, when you pull up, she's there with her husband. You knock at the
mhm.
door. Who was in the home? What children were in the home?
So she had one son that was in the home, I believe he was a high schooler, but he never came out of his bedroom. So I never laid eyes on him at all. Yeah.
And what was it like, the reunion with mum?
So when I first pulled up and she was standing on her porch, I laughed out loud because from my neck down, we look exactly alike. And I just thought, well, that is hilarious. Now I know where I came from, you know? And then from my neck up, I have really white silver hair, and so does my biological dad. And so I just think it's funny to see what parts of me I have from my biological family. And
Genetics.
so,
Hmm.
yes, genetics. And so I was actually pretty scared to meet her because I have not heard really anything good about her. In fact, I've heard that she's kind of scary. Um, and so I was a little anxious. And so we went in the house and she was very emotional. She could barely talk. And she was very sweet.
Did she hug you? Did she cry? Did she say,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, I missed you. Oh my God, I have so many regrets. Oh my God, the day you left
No,
was the worst day of my life." What was her feeling toward you?
no, she hugged me a lot and told me how beautiful I was. And that's about it. And
Uh-huh.
then when we went inside, she wasn't asking me any questions about myself. And so I was either telling her about my brothers and I or asking her questions about her childhood because that was the number one thing I wanted to know. Like, why are you the way you are? What happened to you so that, that you could not take care of us? I just wanted to understand. And so, I said, my older brother has fetal alcohol syndrome. We all struggled in school. They both have
Yeah.
really low IQs, and so we all struggled. Um, and my birth dad said, yeah, you drank with them kids. And up until that point, I saw a really sweet, tender side of her. And then when he said that, she stood up and her eyes got really big and she started screaming at the top of her lungs that she did not drink with us. She was just yelling and yelling. And I think that my body remembered that and I shut down inside. And I just took her by the hand and I said, "It's okay, none of that matters. It's okay, just sit down, just relax. It's okay." And I just tried to calm her down, because she became very scary in that moment for me, and I think part of me remembered that side of her. Um, but looking back, I'm really angry that I calmed her down and told her that everything was okay, because it's not. Um, the fact that my older brother has fetal alcohol syndrome has so many consequences, and I'm so angry that she couldn't stop such a selfish act for 9 months to protect his brain. And we she drank with all of us, and so I do have a lot of anger towards her about that.
Was education with pregnant women what it is today back then? I wonder. I wonder if alcohol was commonplace with pregnant women.
I think it could have been, but I also think she was going through a lot herself. And so she was only 14 when she was pregnant with my older brother. So maybe even part of the pregnancy she didn't know she was pregnant and she just drank a lot. And so yeah, I have a little bit of grace, but I have a lot of anger.
So I think you did the right thing. You know,
Sure.
if you had have just got up and stormed out, the
Sure.
conversation's over, and you've
Right.
got lingering trauma from that as being
Right.
your last memory. So I think you
Right.
did the right thing in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And did you continue to see mum and dad beyond this? Yeah.
No, we left, and then the next day I took them out for breakfast, and then that's where my birth father told me the story about my birth
The
mother
fire.
not feeding me in the fire and
Oh,
all that.
yeah.
That happened while she was in the bathroom at the restaurant, and so from there, I took them both home, and then I went home, back to
Having
Michigan.
said that, he could have
Mhm.
fed you, so putting it on
Right.
mum's a little bit rich.
Yeah, it is. It is. It
Yeah.
is. But at the same time, he is so special needs that I'm not sure he could
He
have.
could have. Mm,
Right. He is so
yeah.
special needs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And how did your mum and dad
Uh-huh.
take the news of you meeting your biological parents?
My dad recently had a bad stroke and then diagnosed with Parkinson's, and so, his frontal lobe was really damaged for all of that, and so, um, I really couldn't communicate all of that with him, but my mom, was just excited. She was really excited. And so the following summer, my mom and dad actually we all went to North Carolina, and we all visited my birth aunt. So and got to see my birth dad as well. So,
Becky.
and a biological sister. Yeah, yeah. So it was wonderful. That was wonderful. It was just a full circle moment for sure.
And what about
Mhm.
your brothers? For
Um,
the four of them that were in care, have any of them met the biological parents, or was it only and solely you?
my younger brother has not. My older brother ran away from home when we were in high school and thought his whole life would be better if he lived with them. And so he had met them and actually gave them my information. And so when I was in high school, I got letters from my biological mom, but I was not ready for that. And I was really upset that he
Did you
gave her
read them?
my private information. Yes, yes. But it mostly felt like she was saying everything I wanted to hear.
Hmm.
And so as a 16 or 17-year-old, it was too much. So I wrote back to her one time, and then after that, I just decided that I wasn't ready for that.
Did you
So I
keep those
stopped.
letters?
No, nope. Nope, nope. And I will never see her again. It was actually pretty traumatizing to see her in my 40s.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you just
Mhm.
say you will never see her again now?
I will never see her again. Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. I can't do it. Um, I haven't talked about the hard stuff. The hard stuff is my all of our biological family um has a very high sex drive, and a lot of my biological family are sex offenders, including my older brother and the two other boys that were adopted by somebody else, and they have just all made very bad choices. And I struggle with um always wanting a relationship to do with BDSM, and I never talked about it with anybody. And when I picked up my birth dad, we drove past a cemetery, and he said, I had sex in that cemetery. And I thought, oh my goodness, we are just like you. And then when I was talking to my birth mom, if I was not talking about myself or asking her questions about her childhood, all she would talk about was the movie 50 Shades of Grey, which is all about BDSM. And that was too much for me. I could not believe that that is hereditary, or is that a trauma response? I still don't know today, but I was so upset that that was hereditary. And when I left, I kind of gave up on myself and I just said, screw it. I'm going to be just like who I am. I'm no longer going to fight this desire. I am just like them. And so I found a partner, and I'm married. And so I found a partner to have BDSM relationship with. And I will say the time that we spent together and that the physical pain that relationship gave me was better than any other therapy I've ever experienced. Because when I was feeling that pain, I was no longer emotionally hurting. And it felt so good. But then my husband found out, and there were so many consequences because of that. We are good now. We're in a healthy place, but it really tore us up for a good couple of years. And come to find out, during all of that, I was struggling with perimenopause symptoms, and I ended up in a mental hospital 3 different times that year for a week at a time. And then my very good friend works for an OB doctor, and she was telling him all of this. And she took me to see him, and he said I needed to have a hysterectomy and have everything taken out. And from that day, of that surgery, I have never in my life felt more stable. Never. And so in some ways,
Did you have your ovaries as well?
no, they are all gone,
Okay.
totally removed.
Mhm.
And so when I felt like when I saw my biological mom, I felt a presence of the devil in her house. And I feel like he entered me when I left. And I literally went crazy for a year. And when I had that hysterectomy, I feel like the devil took my woman parts or the doctor took my woman parts and the devil out of me. And I have felt so healed, along with some EMDR therapy and some talk therapy for sure.
I am
But
so happy to hear that. But do you know, I have read about perimenopause and menopause causing so many divorces when,
yeah,
uh, like you say, going to your OB and I'm not saying to everybody go get your
right,
hysterectomy on, but I'm
right.
saying like if you're a certain age and
Uh-huh,
things are not what they used to be, get
uh-huh,
support, women. Because Jennifer and
100%.
I were just talking earlier. We're both in the midst of it. You're
Yeah,
doing well now because you got your bits out, but I'm
yeah,
in the midst of it, and
girl.
I openly will say to my husband, I am a mess. I
Yes,
can't remember where I put anything, even though I
yes,
just did that.
yes,
Forgetful. I can get irrational. So,
yes.
women, if things are changing and you feel like you're going crazy, go see
Mhm.
your doctor.
Go see your doctor. I am a hairdresser, and I can't tell you how many clients are my age who will sit in my chair and just start crying and say, "I don't know what's wrong with me." And I'll say, "How old are you?" And they'll tell me, and I'll say, "Oh, please, please
I
go see
know.
your doctor."
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, just you're not yourself. And I will say, every single time I ended up in the hospital for a week at a time, I got my period every time.
Wow. So, have you ever
So,
looked into PMDD?
I did at that time. I think I definitely struggled with that,
Yeah.
along
Yeah.
with the emotions of everything I had
And
just.
the childhood trauma, that's a
Yeah,
big
I think
one.
I re-traumatized myself
Oh,
when I saw my biological family. In fact, I didn't realize I had, like, an attachment disorder. I was doing better with my adoptive mom, and then when I came back after seeing my biological mom, I couldn't even be in the same room with my adoptive mom. It was
because,
awful.
because, put that into a sentence. Why do you think your body was reacting or your emotions were reacting and you didn't want to be in the room with her? Was it shame? Was it hurt? Was it what?
I shame might be part of it, but I don't think my body felt safe all over again with a mother figure. I did not feel safe. To this
Even though
day,
time and time again she proved her
yes.
love and support and
Mhm.
safety.
Yes.
Yep.
I could never, even before I went to go see my biological mom, I could never share emotional conversations with my adoptive mom or tell her I love her to her face without my body wanting to run out of the room.
Yeah.
So I've never been able to tell her I love her. I've never been able to hug her. If she hugs me, it feels very uncomfortable. And so what I'm trying to do as an adult who has experienced EMDR therapy is when I'm with her now, I squeeze one hand at a time, going back and forth while she's talking, and I will say, I am safe. I am okay. I am safe. I'm trying to do my own EMDR therapy when I'm with her, and I'm praying that someday before she passes away, I can tell her I love her to her face without crying or needing to leave this room and be able to hug her.
When
And
you were
I think
little, could you
it's.
say I love you?
Mm.
So she told you she loved you?
I could say it back, but it was very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
So every night before bed she'd say I love you, Jenny?
No,
When you
no.
would go on school camp, she'd say have a good time, I love you?
Oh, she probably would, and I would just run away. Mhm,
Right. So it wasn't
mhm.
commonplace in your home.
No, but it was very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. So I
Yeah.
fled from those emotional times as much as I could.
So I feel like that's not your fault now. That's
No.
the two of you, and the like you say, the relationship you built together.
Mhm.
That's not on you.
Right. Right, and I know that. I'm actually very angry when I actually told my mom about it, about how I feel. I went home one day and I said, "I'm just gonna tell her," and I started bawling, just bawling. And I just said, "My birth mom stole my ability to bond with you, stole my trauma, stole my ability to feel safe, for my body to feel safe with you. And it just tears me apart." I was so angry, and I still am so angry that that happened because she's the one woman who loved me the most. And she is why I am the way I am today. But my body still does not feel safe with her. It's wild. My brain knows that I'm safe rationally, but my body doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Gosh, childhood trauma just is such a mixed
Yep.
bag,
Yep.
and what comes out of your experiences growing up
Uh-huh.
becomes who you are.
Yes. Yes.
Those things that happen to you when you're little, you can push them down, but they're there
They're
for
there.
life.
They're for life. I'm gonna try to undo it. I hope I have a happy ending to the story.
I always wonder, sometimes when I have foster children, I think, oh, gee, that child could benefit from a therapy session with
Uh-huh.
mum so they can
Uh-huh.
safely hear each other's feelings
Yeah.
safely because they can't
But
communicate. And if you
I
can't
don't know if it would.
communicate,
Yeah. I think that sounds terrifying because
it would
going to a
be.
counseling
It would be.
session means
Mm,
emotional conversation.
yeah.
And I that would be terrifying for me at this point.
Yeah.
Um, I will say one thing my mom did was she figured out that I really do well with writing letters. And so we would write letters back and forth. Now, she could never, like, if I sent her a letter, she could never come up to me and react to me to the letter in person. Like, "Jenny, I'm so glad you talked to me about that. I'm feeling so thankful and I love you so much." And like that would not feel safe to me. So she would have to write back in a letter. So it was almost um like a secret that we
Yes.
were writing letters back and forth in the house. Which
Which is
sounds
actually
so
sweet.
funny.
It's actually sweet though,
Yes.
because she's getting
Yes.
on your level. She's on your
Yes.
level. She's meeting
Yes.
you where you are
Yep.
emotionally,
And
supporting
she figured
that.
out, right, she figured out what felt safe to me. And we still will, I mean, we live in the same town and we will still write Facebook messages to each other or text each other sweet messages, but we don't say them in
No.
person, which in some ways I'm really thankful because I can screenshot those messages
Uh-huh.
and I
And
will
you
have
can
them
keep them.
forever.
You can keep
Forever.
them for life.
Yes. 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 So I'm thankful for those. Mhm. But when I told her that I was so sad and I was bawling, and I told her that I struggle with having physical contact and that I feel most safe if there's like a table between us or she doesn't reach out to me and hug me. And so it felt really good to verbalize those things. And she's done the work. Like,
Yeah.
she has made me feel more safe with her, which makes me kind of almost, it's like reverse psychology. Like, she's pulling away, which makes me kind of want to go closer, which is kinda cool. Like, I'm feeling that. I'm
Yes,
feeling
keep
that, and
working on
I'm
that. Keep
yes,
working
yes,
on that.
yes, yes. So,
She
I'm
so it,
super thankful.
and sometimes like well, in your particular situation, if I put
Uh-huh.
myself in her shoes, because I love to put myself in people's shoes
Yeah,
mentally,
yeah. Uh-huh,
she she opened her heart to three children
uh-huh.
by choice. She
Yep,
adopted them by choice. She
uh-huh.
loved them by choice.
My
And
choice.
she continues to meet you where you're at today
Today.
by
Mhm.
choice.
Yes.
What a hero.
She is a hero.
She's a hero.
100%. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And my dad is too. He he backed her up She was the punching bag for our big emotions, and he held her up the whole time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautiful man.
Yes. Yes.
Jennifer, thank you
So,
so much for sharing your story. I feel
you're
like you and I could
welcome.
just talk all day and night. In fact,
I
I
think
would love
so.
to meet you. You need to come to Australia.
I would love that. What an experience that would be.
Oh, come over. Come
Yeah,
over. I've been
okay.
to America 2 times. One was just to Baltimore, would you believe?
Oh, okay.
For my husband
Okay.
had a conference. And then
Uh-huh.
the other time it was over to Disneyland on
Oh,
the West
neat.
Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always welcome here.
Well, I tell you, Disneyland, my husband and I liked it more than our 3 children.
Oh, wow. Really?
We were just like living our childhood dreams.
Dreams.
Whereas the kids were like,
Oh.
yeah, it's okay.
Oh. Do you have anything like that in Australia?
Yeah, we do. And they are,
Okay.
no offense to our entertainment worlds in Australia,
Uh-huh.
but there's no comparison.
Okay. To
There's none.
Disney. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. I've also been to Disneyland in Japan, and it's okay, but it doesn't have
Okay.
the feel that the American West Coast one has. And also, I've been to Universal Studios in Japan, and I've been to the French Disneyland. It has got no wonder. Like the French
Wow.
people, mm,
Uh-huh. No.
they don't want to be in their Mickey Mouse suits.
We've actually
No.
never been to Disneyland. So we live close, but we've
You
never
should
been.
go.
We
It
should.
was everything and more than my husband and I dreamed it
Oh,
would be.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So cool. So neat.
But we have koalas and kangaroos and echidnas
I
and
know. I would love to see those. That'd be
and we've got the most
amazing.
beautiful beaches on the
Oh,
planet. I've been to a
oh.
lot of beaches.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing that
No.
beats
Oh,
Australian coastlines.
beaches. Okay.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Hmm.
I love beaches.
Mm.
I was born in Virginia by the ocean, and I feel like I'm meant to be there.
By the
So,
water.
yeah, by the water. Yes.
By
We're
the
going to
water.
Cancun in a couple weeks. So, in
Oh.
Mexico. Yeah. So,
Oh.
I'm pretty excited. It sounds wonderful. Get away from this snow.
Yes, I
Yes.
hope the
Uh,
snowstorm blows
yeah.
off and
Uh,
the sun starts shining again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate that.
Jennifer.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you and all that you do.
Thanks for listening to Once Upon a Real Life with Belle. Don't forget to visit alphasport.com.au with your special discount code BELLE10 for 10% off Actiflex pain relieving gel. My name's Belle. See you on the next episode.